Doesn't that feel good? Welcome back, entrepreneurs. I am your host, Jason Setzer, with the Local Business Podcast. We're talking everything to do with entrepreneurship by sharing stories of success, failure, and everything in between. That sounds like something that you're into. Hang out and enjoy the show. Geoff, I'm going to apologize up front because every time I have ever seen the word Geoff spelt Geoff, I always think Geoff. So how do you, and I'm not even going to attempt your last name. How do you say your last name?
It's Nienstedt.
Nienstedt. Geoff Nienstedt.
I believe the whole thing with the Geoff, I think maybe it was a Demerol during the pregnancy. I'm not sure. At one point in time, I thought Geoffrey Giraffe was named after me. Then I found out he was older than I was. So, but I'm still around and he's gone.
Yeah, so, we won't even bring him up. Screw him. Geoff, man, welcome to the studio. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy, especially given that the industry that you're in. You want to give everybody the elevator pitch, who you are, what you do, and who you do it to?
All right. Again, my name is Geoff. Geoff Nienstedt. I'm with Roadrunner Towing Service in Schertz, Texas. Operate a towing and recovery company that takes care of most of the cities around here. We're the ones out there working the accidents on the side of the road. We're the guys at 11:30 at night when your daughter is stuck in a driving rainstorm. We're the guys that leave our families and go get them and get them to safety.
Warm, comfortable bed.
Yeah.
Or cool, depending on South Texas here. So tell me, how did you get started into this business?
I actually stumbled into it. I was actually working a demolition career back in the very early 90s. My wife at the time was working for a body shop. I was feeling a need for a career change. The towing company that did their towing had lost a driver. She told me about it. I applied for the job, and it stuck.
When you started working towing and recovery, right? Is it fair to say towing and recovery? So, I mean, there's a difference because some guys, the wrecker service, they don't do like recovery, right? Is that fair to say?
Correct. There's some companies out there that are just doing shop tows and stuff. Then the terminology gets kind of skewed a little bit because some people, when they say recovery, it's asset recovery. That's going to be the repo guys, but we are the recovery monsters that are picking up the tractor trailers that are mangled. And, it's like we got a magic wand.
When you started, did you have any experience at all with this trade?
Not with towing vehicles. With my demolition career, I was a crane operator. I was a certified rigger, which helped me quite a bit with the recovery side of stuff. And anything I'd ever ran off a diesel and was operated by hydraulic.
How do you get from having some experience to having the knowledge that you do now? Is it just working a lot of scenes, or do you have any kind of certified training, or is there a towing for dummies book that you read, or how did you get to know what you know now?
In the beginning it was trial and error, and I don't know how many people have looked at tow truck fails. As I got into this industry, started getting into the heavy duty stuff, I went to a heavy duty recovery class, and that's where I realized that training is paramount. I looked back at what I had done before that training class, and it was scary.
Oh,
there was a point in time when my son worked for me, and he was, Dad, we need to get this, we need to get that. And I'm like, we got some chains, let's pull on it,
That shit costs money, boy.
And and after the first training class I went to, which was just a level 1 heavy duty training class, I realized we've got to make some changes. We're stereotyped tow truck drivers.
Okay.
And I try to get away from tow truck driver. Because a driver drives a vehicle.
Sure.
We're operators.
Yeah.
We're operators. So that's where my passion for safety, my passion for learning different recovery techniques. We train quite often. As a matter of fact, I am now on the board of directors for the Southwest Tow Operators, which is one of the trade associations here in Texas. So I got a little leverage
Yeah.
If I want to get a training
pun
class
intended.
going on, I go to the executive director. I said, hey, I think we need this,
Yeah, nice. Can anybody take this training? Like I'm not in the trade at all. And if I just wanted to know this information, is there a way that I could go get this training?
Actually, one of our last level 3 classes, we had some guys show up that actually owned a hazmat company,
Okay.
but they work alongside
Sure.
tow trucks. So they wanted to be able to see why, what, where, how, so they could just apply it when they're on scene working in tandem with the recovery company.
How do you get that through to the customer? Or do you?
Well, social media.
Yeah.
I mean, your website, our website talks about it. Again, social media, a good place to showcase your work.
Sure.
Anytime my guys get certified and stuff, I'm usually posting something on our social media pages.
You were telling me a little bit before the show, you went out and you bought 20 trucks and you just took over this whole area, right?
Then I woke up. Yeah, then I woke up. So
your first piece of equipment was what?
My first piece of equipment was a 97 International 4700. It was what would be considered a medium duty truck. It had an 8-ton bed on it. It was a Century 612 Daytona bed. I purchased that it was a trade-in from Applewhite Wrecker over on Bandera Road back in the day.
Applewhite. So what was your first job with that truck?
My first job was a black Ford Probe that I picked up at Semang's Automotive in Converse, and I had taken it to Pyramid Auto. That was also in Converse at the time. That was my first tow.
So how did you get that job?
I had worked. I worked before I opened up Roadrunner. I did work for another record service in the area. I didn't agree with the way they did things.
Sure. Which is common amongst entrepreneurs.
So I worry every day about losing my business.
Sure.
And maybe that's why I'm still here. I don't know. If you get too comfortable, you're gonna get bit.
And that's with anything.
So I didn't like the way they treated the drivers. I didn't like the way they felt privileged. If somebody, whether it be a shop, whether it be an individual, broke down on the side of the road, whether it be a municipality that gives you the chance to service them, it is a privilege.
Yeah.
To do their service. And if you think of it any other way, I don't think it's right.
I'm going to ask you a really stupid and broad question, but how do you mitigate that risk of other people on the road? Rubberneckers. Everybody's got to see.
It's tough. It's tough. I don't know if you remember back in, I think this was in February of 2020. We were working a simple jackknife tractor trailer and on 35 in Schertz. It was raining. And of course, I know all your listeners see the fire truck parked at an angle and stuff. There's reasons why they do that. So we've got the fire truck out there blocking and stuff. And another tractor trailer comes through and just takes out the ladder truck. And I remember, people probably don't pay attention to this, but the door on one of those trucks is probably about 5 foot, probably weighs a good 100, 150 pounds. This door flew probably 70 yards over everybody's head on that scene.
Jesus.
Before it landed. So yes, there's an inherent risk. And
did anybody get hurt on that scene from that?
No. This is where God comes into play. Yeah, God comes into play.
That's miraculous.
And I know that when people are in traffic, and that's just what we deal with out here now with all the construction. Everybody's got a place to go, and they want to get there.
And don't want to be inconvenienced at all.
They don't. We have people drive through, around cones, through our scenes. I've had a lady come through a scene and drive over my cables.
Jesus.
And the bad thing is where we're at in the world nowadays with law enforcement. They're so understaffed because nobody wants to be a cop anymore.
So what was your next piece?
I bought a second flatbed.
Okay.
my second year in business, I got a second flatbed.
At this time, you got 2 flatbeds and then a wheel hauler,
Recovery truck.
recovery truck. So, what is the bread and butter of your business at that time?
I mean, they were all essential. I mean, because my recovery truck was a medium duty, so it had his place. Towing larger vehicles, the flatbeds. We're towing passenger vehicles. We could tow them 2 at a time. And at this point in time now, I've got a guy working for me. He's a retired Marine that had been in the record business previously and just kind of wanted to work. Started out wanted to just kind of work part time. That never works out in the towing business.
You're never going to get a part-time towing. You might get hired as part-time.
And he had a couple of guys that he worked with at another company. He said, we need more drivers, so I'm gonna get these guys you talk to and see what you think. And so, and it just started progressing from there. And I guess my deal is as an owner, I've never been able to completely step back.
Do you actually have like contracts with cities?
Yeah, there's cities that we have contracts with.
And so what does that look like? Well, don't tell me any numbers, but I mean, what does it look like as far as what you're going to do what for them? If you can disclose, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine too.
So it's just what we do. I mean, if we're contracted to a city, we're bound by contract. We're bound by ETAs. We're bound by a certain level of professionalism.
Sure.
There's things that are expected from us.
How much money in equipment is on the truck? Not including the truck.
We talked about this with I talked about this with somebody the other day, and I'm gonna go in that probably $45,000 to $60,000 range.
Just
that's just the equipment.
Just the stuff to put in the boxes.
That's just stuff to put in the boxes that truck is
capable of using.
Capable of using, yes.
Right. So do you feel like you have any competition?
Yeah. There's competition out there. I mean, I'm never going to say there's not competition out there. I'll work with anybody. I try to structure my business in the way I service my customers, where they won't go looking for somebody else. Now, have I had people might have got into a tiff with a driver or something? They're
You're
like,
not going to make everybody happy, but
we're not using you anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I understand it. I said, I can fix a problem. I apologize. Everybody's got a bad day.
Sure.
And this lasts for maybe a month. And then all of a sudden you get that phone call, says, hey, I need you to pick up a car.
Where does the majority of that work come from? Is it from the city, or is it from like, let's just say a UPS needs help. They look up a recovery company.
Right. It's people breaking down. It's people that we may have serviced several years ago, and we're fortunate enough for them to stay with us. And these are companies that are all over the United States, but when they're in our area, we might be their primary vendor in this area.
What is the number one thing you wish you knew before starting your business?
To finish my high school education.
Really?
Yeah. So I wasn't a good person. I mean, I've got a 9th grade education. I got my GED. I've done some college courses and stuff. But when I first got into opening Roadrunner, we're talking contract talks and stuff. And I'm in here. I'm talking to city managers, mayors, city council people. And you were talking and said, well, Schertz is going to grow exponentially and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so I literally went out and bought me a little Webster's dictionary. So I could well, why don't you just say it's going to get bigger?
What is the biggest mistake you think you've made?
Back when I was getting going, this is something you've got to really be careful with in business, is growing too fast.
Yes.
I experienced that, it's been a long time ago, but it's when, things look like they're going so well, and you're buying equipment and stuff. Then all of a sudden you kind of feel like the walls closing in on you. We went through 2008, 2009, which I ended up making it through fine.
Sure.
But I mean, it's scary as hell.
What would you say is the best piece of advice you ever received?
I'm gonna go back to Milton Necker.
Okay.
And like I said, you're not gonna get rich off of one ticket.
And wear gloves.
And wear gloves.
Wear gloves. So what is your you'd mentioned your business runs on apps and things like that. What's your favorite? I got a hard time with this question because I don't know exactly how to say it. What is your favorite digital tool? What's your favorite tool for running your business?
Well, we run an app called Towbook.
Okay.
And that is it's a desktop version. There's tablet version, but this is what all my drivers and all my operators use to input the information.
What is your definition of success?
I think success can be measured. I'm not going to go to the dollars and cents.
Oh yeah, that's
so. It's like I said. I think being able to keep everybody happy. That's been one of my biggest things in life. Is I just want everybody to be happy and to be able to prosper.
We were talking about maybe get another rotator. You want to expand your heavy duty program and maybe do some training. I asked you what your what organization you're with, and then I got a plumbing phone call or a plumbing text message. What was the name of that organization?
It's a Southwest Tow Operators.
Southwest Tow Operators. So what exactly do they do?
So they advocate for the towing industry here in Texas, whether it be by training, whether it be by legal help. I mean, because you got to realize we're heavily regulated. And when people file complaints about us, there's fines that could be levied.
Sure.
Big fines.
Mm-hmm.
And as we spoke earlier about people complaining and filing complaints, things aren't always true. And it seems like more and more, it's not that innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, we're going to cut you off and you're going to have to tell us why we need to give it back to you.
There's been a couple times during this conversation when we're talking about, saving lives and then like cable snapping and stuff like that. I think to put this in a perspective, right, in a very rudimentary way, if you've ever seen somebody driving down the road in a pickup truck and there's a big hole in the middle of their tailgate, likely what's happened is they've hooked up a chain to a stump and the thing broke and it slung back and knocked a hole in a tailgate. And that's a very basic idea of what could happen every day with you guys.
Yeah.
Only the chain is a lot bigger and the force is a lot more.
Correct.
The hole would be a lot bigger. You know
Right.
what I mean? And,
Right.
and God willing, not somebody's head.
Right.
I was swapping out for that company I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to get into the name of the crane company, but we were swapping out a water tower and the impeller, the fan and the impeller. And so we hooked up to it and so I was inside the
chiller.
Yeah, well, I was inside the water tower, and then so water tower is basically a water like inside the thing is just like a big waterfall, right? Everything's covered in algae, even though it's not supposed to be, and so we're in there. I'm in there working. We got everything rigged up, and then so I am signaling to my guy signaling to the crane operator, right? And then so we're just like baby steps, getting it out. Well, what had happened was on the opposite side of the fan that I couldn't see, it was pinched. It was pinched on something. And then so it has a long shaft that comes down into the bottom of into the basin, right? And then so as that crane operator is lifting up slowly, well, he jerked and then it went from slow to fast. And then so what happened was instead of this happening, right, it went boom like this. And I was standing right here. That rod missed me and went through the damn water tower, the cooling tower, and then so like accident. I mean, this is an experienced fella, running this, but I mean, shit happens, right?
Yeah.
That same company, they had a lack of, I don't know what you'd say. It was, so the outrigger was tied around a ratchet strap, one of those 4-inch ratchet straps. And then so they didn't see it. So the outrigger was going out to set their safety, platforms down. And then that strap broke and then it flew across the site and took out a person's jaw. I mean, it was just that quick.
Yeah.
And these are all in controlled situations where there's no traffic and there's no sense of urgency to get things. You know what I mean? It's just a construction site.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't personally imagine what you guys go through, but I know just from my own previous experiences in life, it's intense. It can be. You know what I mean? I know there's a message that you wanted to, you want to leave with us as far as, safety and your passion. So I'm kind of leading into that, what do you want to say about that?
So this kind of goes back to when my son was hit by the crude tanker. And I realized there's a problem with the message for the slow down, move over law.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started my fight. That's when I ran into Southwest Tow Operators. They actually got in touch with me. They walked me through the process of introducing a bill to the House, testifying in front of committee,
Mm-hmm.
and actually watching that bill become law.
What is the punishment for if a cop actually took the time to go pull somebody over for not pulling over? What's the fine? Do you know?
I think the first offense was $200 to $500.
There's the problem right there.
So I'm on the legislative committee with the association. So and everybody knows my deal is this slow down, move over stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure a way to combat, because I know what the representatives are going to say. This is going to be a burden to my constituents. If we anytime they hear about raising fines, jail time, well, that's going to be a burden to our constituents. So what I did is I took our association.
Unless we're talking taxes, then it's not a burden at all.
I got with the Texas Municipal Police Officers Association. I got with the EMS Alliance of Texas. I got with the State Firefighters Association.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a grassroots group together, a lobbyist.
Okay.
That from all disciplines, towing, fire, law enforcement, and EMS.
Mm-hmm.
And we put these guys together. And so we had a big Zoom meeting. Well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to fine up to $1,250. I want a no dismissal. If there's a second offense, I want a state jail felony. If anybody's injured or killed, there needs to be some type of jail time. And I said, I understand our justice system. This person probably didn't go out looking to kill somebody, but they did. So I'm not talking about throwing somebody in jail for years. This could be our enforcement, since it doesn't really happen out on the roads right now.
You're going to be hard, and I hate this is going to sound really aggressive towards police officers, and I don't mean it to be, but you're going to be hard pressed to find a police officer to stop what he's doing if he's pulling somebody over for a traffic violation or whatever, to jump in his car and go chase down somebody for a $200 fine.
So the first thing they tell me is, they said, Geoff, boy, you're really reaching. $1,250, huh? No dismissal? No, they're not going to do it. I said, well, they do it for a school bus ticket. And he's like, so you're mirroring a school bus ticket? I said, yeah. And he's like, so it's already there.
Yeah.
I said, it's already there. So, everybody starts agreeing with me, but they want to back off on any kind of jail time and stuff.
When you say they, you're talking about politicians? And
even the lobbyists that we're working with, because I'm still learning the legislative deal. And I always want to run in there and grab something. And there's a certain way that you have to do this. And they're like, well, we're going to file it like this. And then we're going to go to Austin and we're going to talk to the legislators and we're going to tell them, well, we really, we're wanting to do this too. And let's get what their take is on and if we have to, we can amend this on the floor and we can make some changes. Cause I tell you what, you get one group that doesn't like something and we're so divided. And I don't know how we could be divided on something like that. I know.
Is that you see it too?
Yeah.
I was like,
But it's like I said, I just don't know how we could be divided on something like that. But we are. So, I have people contacting me all the time about stuff when it comes to slow down, move over law, about statistics, about numbers, and there's people are quoting numbers that aren't correct. Line of duty deaths are different than struck bys, and people are saying no, your numbers are wrong.
you hear all the time from the big politicians, if we save just one life, it's worth it. Okay, well, how come we can't use that same line? You know what I mean? I listen. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of legislation. I would, if I had to identify as anything, I would say I'm a libertarian of anything, right? So like, I don't really think more legislation is really, a good thing in general, right?
Correct.
But whenever you're talking about something like this, make the fine stupid. You know what I mean? Because that's what affects people's decision making a lot of times is their pocketbook.
Right. That's where you make the change, is you get in somebody's pocket.
People see a cop, everybody slows down. Why? Because they're worried about their safety all of a sudden? No. They don't want a ticket.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, hey, if you could say move over, slow down, it's the law, punishable by,
the
$1,200 ticket. You know what I mean? I would be curious to know how many of those tickets are getting passed out for the school buses.
Well, and here's the big deal is I'm still working on getting the numbers, but the number of these slow down, move over tickets out of the ones that have been written, how many of them are
dismissed?
Are being dismissed? And I get it, but if that
is it a proof thing? I mean, is it just easier
So somebody can be driving down the road. And again, I understand they could be the best person in the world, but one of the biggest problems we have on the road now is distracted driving.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's across the board.
Whether it be
everybody.
Your infotainment center, even you put your phone down, but you're
still interacting with the damn thing.
You're looking at your navigation. You're doing this. You're talking over your sync or whatever. So and I understand that they probably didn't mean to not move over for that fire truck or not move over.
Yeah.
Police.
I don't think that goes. I think that goes without saying. I don't think anybody's like, screw that person, I'm just going to hit them if they get in my way. I don't think anybody thinks that.
And I've learned how to play devil's advocate here. We had an operator killed a few years back, and the lady that had hit him and killed him never had a ticket, never had any brush with the law, no record, no nothing. And, they're wanting her to go to jail for 10 years and this and that. And I said, hey, y'all, it's not going to happen. What do you mean it's not going to happen? She killed him. And I said, I know she did. And it's horrible. I said, I've sat down and I've talked with his wife. I've talked with his son. It's a horrible thing, but they are not going to throw her in jail.
Right.
And she got probation, and everybody's upset because all she got was probation.
Mm.
Maybe we need to start adding in some community service in there. And that community service is going to be picking up trash on the highway. So you understand what it's like being on the side of the road.
Sure.
And why we wear that reflective safety vest. It's just, I've reached out, and maybe somebody from the school board will hear me because it's not doing any good emailing people.
Yeah.
I've reached out to the school and the school board twice about wanting to do something about distracted driving and the slow down, move over law. Let's take these kids that are fixing to drive.
I wonder if you could work with the roadworthy the.
Well, I'm
sorry, I didn't mean to keep interrupting.
No, I was talking to him. Of course, he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, because they actually went to testify on some stuff in Austin because TDLR regulates them also. And we were trying to get a course together. So if you did have a move over violation, you had to take this 4-hour course, which they would have, being a driving school, they would have been able to put it on because they're licensed and stuff. But he says, we have to spend an hour telling these young
drivers,
potential drivers, what they need to do when they get pulled over by a police officer, he says,
They freak out.
he said, we can spend about 15 minutes on that. We pretty much cover everything. So he said, it'd be great to be able to take and insert some stuff about distracted driving in the move over law. And things were kind of brought to a halt because of his passing. So, but I mean, so I've reached out to the school board.
Yeah.
And I on an email like that, I always attach a read receipt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I haven't even got a read receipt back, which either means they just deleted it,
Right.
or didn't send the receipt back. But here's somebody, and I mean, I've got people behind me that can get me literature. I mean, just to make this a positive thing.
You know what would be really simple? As far as some sort of participation or something like that from the schools is let you set up at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day of school, right? When these new drivers are driving to school, set up a mock scene.
We used to do Shattered Dreams. There was a program called Shattered Dreams, and we'd actually bring in vehicles that were wrecked. We'd stage them. Fire would come in, police would come in, life flight would come in.
Well, no, I mean because I remember something similar like that even at my high school. But what I'm saying is like, unbeknownst to anybody coming to school, once they pull into school grounds, and then they see your truck set up at a mock scene and a guy walking around, making that vehicle with the student driver make a decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so like, hey, there's somebody standing here. You don't just drive right past them like this. You move over or whatever. You know what I mean? Something with actual, as it's happening, experience for the driver. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, and maybe it's just me, but I hate to say it that a lot of demonstrations or things that are like movies or something like that you have to watch and you're supposed to gain something from it that maybe you're passionate about, unless it's something that the person watching that is interested in, it's their eyes glaze over. You know what I mean? But if they're driving into the school and they have to make some sort of decision, and then possibly get their ass handed to them for not doing the right thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just something, more hands-on, more effective, not more effective. Just, I don't know. It's a big challenge, man. It's a big challenge.
It is. And, I've talked to law enforcement out here, and, when staffing gets back to level, there's, and I get it, there might be an opportunity, there's funding out there that will pay the overtime for these officers to be out there. But the problem is we've got to have the officers to put out there, because the officers that we have are already working overtime. So when they get that day off or those 2 days off, they're not going to want to jump back in a patrol car to go make a little extra money.
Sure.
Because they need a break from the job, and they need a break from society the way it is today.
I'm going to do something. We're going to do something called the lightning round.
Okay.
This is, I'm going to have you pick a color. I'm going to ask you 5 questions that have nothing to do with nothing. It's just arbitrary and random questions. Pick a color: black, green, blue, or red.
Well, I guess I'm probably going to have to go with red.
Roadrunner Towing, his vehicles are all red. Red and red and white, right? You get the rotators white.
Yeah, the light duty is red, and now the color doesn't even matter, because it's what they have on the line that you can buy now. So colors.
Oh yeah,
are
right.
pretty much out. Yeah.
All right, so here's the lightning round questions. You can answer them however you want, or not answer them at all. It doesn't matter. Just remember, you pick the deck. First question: would you rather be able to erase people's memory or predict their future?
I think predict the future.
Yeah, I like that.
If I could stop somebody from something bad happening, that would be cool.
Yeah.
And why do we want to dwell on the past?
I'm with you there, man. Would you rather be forced to high five everyone you made eye contact with, or stir up conversations with at least 5 strangers a day?
Yeah, I dig talking to strangers.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, don't get me in Vegas.
Would you rather never be able to use search engines again or never use smartphone apps again?
Whoa. Well, I guess we'll go Google because I need smartphone apps to run my business.
I was going to say, man, you can take the smartphone from me. I got to have a search engine.
All our stuff is digital on our cell phone now.
Would you rather be handcuffed to the most annoying person you know for 24 hours or go camping with somebody who likes you, but you don't like them back? That's a weird one. I don't know that I want to be handcuffed with anybody.
You know, I could deal with somebody I didn't like for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is the most annoying person you know? Don't let it be family.
Probably Joe Biden.
You could be handcuffed to him for 24 hours? Man, God rest your soul.
No. He wasn't in the handcuff deal. We're just talking about who is the most annoying person.
Oh, okay. I got you. Would you rather have deep dish or thin crust pizza?
I'm on a diet, but it would be deep.
Deep dish.
Oh yeah.
So I've been on this kick. My girlfriend got me started on these thin crust pizzas from Domino's, and
they're actually pretty good. Yes.
Damn. Well, and I think the reason being is because whenever you're eating the food, most of what you're feeling is actually the actual ingredients and not the bread.
Yep.
So, anyways, that was the lightning round, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your employees. How do you go about finding and keeping employees?
So, Roadrunner's got a little bit of a reputation, which probably.
Yeah, I just got done telling you how the rumors about you cutting brake lines.
We work, we work hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, most, and I do have 3 guys that have been. All of them have been with me over a year, that we took from nothing.
Scratch, new, green,
never touched a lever, never pulled a cable.
Were they young and didn't have any job experience?
No. So 25 is a minimum here when it comes to insurance and stuff. So they had all, whether it be construction, one of them had worked, I believe, for the railroad. I don't know what capacity, but we started from nothing with them.
Okay,
and trained them. And the surprising thing is they are all still with me. Because a lot of these people get into this and then they realize, wow, this sucks. The money's great, but this sucks. Traffic.
South Texas, 100-degree weather in the summers.
9 degrees, whatever it might be.
Yeah, out in the middle of this beaming sun and not a shred of respect from anybody passing you.
So
what do you mean this isn't a fun job?
When it comes to the towing industry, and I've talked to people with the association, I mean, do we need to try, there's trade schools.
Mm-hmm.
Do we go a direction where we offer a class and, towing and recovery?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody starts off in that light duty spot. We're not talking about a heavy duty spot. There's baby steps before you start jumping into that. But at this point in time, we're running out of
bodies.
Our pool is drying up.
Mm-hmm.
Our pool is drying up. So when you get somebody that, I love them to death. I do. Every one of them's got a little quirk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm dealing with 15 different personalities. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I'm the boss.
Yeah.
If your workforce isn't happy, if their home life isn't happy.
Oh, that spreads through the company like a cancer.
So I'm truly blessed with the ones I have, no matter what the quirks are, because we can generally work through it. But we're gonna run into a time, and people don't realize it now, but they will. Wait till there's not enough tow truck Wait till there's not enough people to operate
Mm-hmm.
those tow trucks. And if you think it's bad now,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy because I got a call from the Blanco County Sheriff's Office a month or so ago.
Need somebody.
They're like, "Hey, man, we need a heavy duty for a what do you got?" He says, "Well, it's a complete burn, and we can't get anybody to come out."
How far out was that from you? How far in miles was it away from you
I
guys?
think it would have been about 73 miles. None of their rotation wreckers,
Mm-hmm.
they all said they weren't available because they're worried about getting paid on that completely burned tractor trailer.
Oh.
So we're talking Blanco County. So they've called this little old company in Schertz, Texas, to see if we could help. And I said, "Look,
Same thing.
I can't go out there." I said, "I got cities here I got to take care of."
That I'm going to get paid on.
Well, no, I'm not going to say I'm going to get paid on it. So,
Higher policy. Well, it's going to be less cost to you for
less fuel, less fuel, and less time. But but that's where we're going now. Is we're running out of bodies
Mhm.
that actually want to do this.
That's not just in your industry.
No, it's not.
That's across the spectrum. It's interesting. It's like everybody wants to be I don't know, a YouTube star or something. I don't know. I don't know, because we don't have a shortage of people. We just have a shortage of people wanting to do physical things. You know what I mean?
We got a problem with people wanting to do anything.
Fair.
I mean,
That's very fair.
I'll talk to people. They say, I've been looking for a job and this and that, and I'm like, I mean, I saw a sign at Bill Miller's, said they were paying $17 an hour.
Yeah.
But Bill Miller's,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah. Bucky's, Bill Miller. There's several of them.
Bucky's $24 an hour for some of their positions.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell me I can't find a job.
Right.
Tell me that I can't find a job that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's mornings that my guys have ran all night
Mm-hmm.
and had to get up and go at it again.
What do we got today, boss?
And I guarantee you in their head, they said, "Man, this really sucks today."
Mm-hmm.
But they showed up to work and they did the job.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's a character thing. I mean, that's like you said. There's not a lot of people that'll do that. You know what I mean? I mean, just any uncomfort at all is enough to drive people to quit.
right. And what's really neat is earlier we talked about going through the 21 and the snowstorm and snow and ice.
Mm-hmm.
And we got done. I bonused all my drivers out. Like, they all got an $800 bonus
Nice.
on top of whatever they made. That
Sure.
I gave them an $800 bonus.
How does that work? How do your guys get paid some sort of commission?
Yes, I get paid a commission.
So, like, is it like a base pay plus commission? Is that how that works?
It's commission.
Just straight commission? So however many however many
Toes.
tows? Okay. So, and I'd imagine there's a different rate for different types of vehicles.
Yes, sir.
So, you have 3 flatbeds? You have 5 flatbeds?
I have
10, 20.
I have let's see. I have 1, 2.
I looked.
I have 5 flatbeds. I have 6 flatbeds, 5 heavy duties. One of them being a rotator. Then I've got a smaller, what they call an auto loader, that most people call them a repo truck.
Mm-hmm.
We use them for getting into parking garages, and sometimes if we're real busy, I'll put them out for quick clearance.
Mm-hmm.
If we got a lot of accidents working, I'll get them just to pull up and get them off the shoulder.
Okay.
The auto loader, because they can just back up, grab it, and boom, and go.
Yeah.
Then I've got a straight truck, and I've also got a Landau. For a lot of times we have to put these tractors and stuff that are in wrecks on. They can't be towed anymore
Mm-hmm.
when they're burned to the ground. So I've got a Landau trailer, along with plenty other assets, forklifts,
Sure. Yeah. Bobcats, trailers.
response trailers, airbags, all kinds of stuff. So I think it's 14 or 15 trucks
Okay.
right now.
So I lost my train of thought there. So, well, shit. How does I guess time, right? How does one work their way up to, you know, I'm trying to figure out pay, right? So if I'm experienced, right? You know, if I bust, I don't even say if I want to bust staff, is if there's a lot of calls for
It's how fast you can get a call. How fast, how safely you can get a call done quickly.
sure.
So my guys get paid pretty good money. I mean, I've got light duty guys and it maybe it's not a lot, but I mean I've got flatbed guys that are making $85,000 a year, which I mean isn't bad. It's getting worse because of the economy and where we're at. And I mean I've got heavy duty guys that'll make 135,000 a year.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the bills that you don't collect on. So if these guys are working commission, do they not?
No, my guys get paid on everything. My guys get paid on everything.
So you've got your fee structure, your commission structure, and that's a done deal.
My guys get paid on everything. And even when we're on a big...
Is that a thing? I mean, do other places operate like that? Do you know?
I've heard that there's...
Oh, I didn't get paid, you don't get paid?
So, yeah, I mean, I've heard.
Sure, wow.
You know, but I mean, even... So when I get out on a big scene, I'm essentially there's a supervisor. And a supervisor gets paid fairly well. I'm probably not going to collect on that. But even when we get out there and if I'm on a job for 4 hours and I build for supervisor, we have to handle it a little differently when we got multiple assets on a job. Because we have to go in and put in the commission basis and stuff. So once I look at everybody's commission, say I've got $2,000 in supervisor fees there that I'm not getting paid on. I'm not physically collecting a check for that.
Sure.
So I'll take that and I'll usually spread that out with the guys that were on the job.
Okay. Well, that's more than fair.
Well, I mean, you got to keep them happy. You know, a lot of it's being in a decent truck, well equipped, and you know they don't have to worry about getting paid. Every once in a while, we'll have a glitch. I mean, and the last thing I'm going to do is try to screw a driver.
Yeah,
that's the last thing I'm going to do. And just last week, I went in and it was a big job and I was doing everything and whether the phone rang, whether somebody asked, but I guess I didn't save the stuff to the call. And one of my guys got paid and he's like, so he went and looked at the call and he said, I only got paid $32 on this. And so they bring it to me. I said, look, man, hold on. I said, I did this.
Fix this right now.
I said, I can tell you what you were going to make. You're going to make, 600 and something, whatever it was. And I'm like, I guess I didn't save it. So
sure.
I go in there and sure enough, I put it all back in there. I said, I mean, I knew what you made.
Yeah.
But I'm so worried.
Somebody's going to think
something differently because we do direct deposit. No, nobody ever asked me for their payroll sheet. I guess that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, right. It's bittersweet, right?
Because they trust me, So, it's the whole deal. Friday morning when they wake up, they can go, oh yeah, there it is. Here we go.
No, that's I don't. That's you don't know how to take that sometimes. I have an employee. I just recently gave him a raise, and it had been a few weeks. So it's like sometimes I'm like, what has happened before is I've given employees raises, and for whatever reason there's an issue with the software and it didn't save. I'm sure I did something wrong, or accounting did something.
Sucks
whatever.
Being a human, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. So then it's like you kind of wait because I don't ever. and I don't know, this is probably a real character flaw with me, and I'm sure therapists can tell me what's wrong with me, but like, I don't sit somebody down and say, hey, look, you're getting an X dollar an hour raise. You know what I mean? And I think this might stem from my dad. You know, you give them a raise and then see what happens. You know what I mean? So my dad had come from a school of life, and I think probably most people his age did. You know, you go to work for somebody, and you know you take care of them, and they take care of you. If they don't take care of you, then you move on. You know, it's just basic, right? And then so, you know, I think that's probably where that comes from. Is like as the employer, you know, you try to take care of employees however you can. You know what I mean? I'm a small fish. I'm a small guy, and I got to compete with big salaries that are being offered from different companies that have big war chests full of money. You know what I mean? And so, like, I got to get creative. You know what I mean? I got to figure out, you know, what can be, you know, how can I keep and retain employees? You know what I mean? So yeah, I had an employee the other day. I was like, shit, man, I hope that raise went through. So I'm like, hey, did you notice your check was a little more this week? And he's like, no, man, I don't even look to see if I get direct deposit. I don't even see if it came in. He was just like, he goes, the only time I look at my account is whenever rent's due, and he says, there's always money in there. No, I don't. I was like, well, can you do me a favor and can you look to see if you got? I said, I gave you a raise. I don't know if you got it or not. Can you check that out for me? Anyways, parting words of wisdom, Geoff. Is there anything that you want to leave with the audience here? As I know the safety is the move over laws is I'm with you, man. I wish there was something you can do to get people's attention, because that's and I hate using the word fair, but that's pretty unfair. You know, that these people go zooming by and just no regard for anybody outside of their vehicle. You know what I mean? And it's such, the numbers don't really mean the number of casualties don't hold weight for me in terms of whether that amount is high or not, because it's such a preventable thing. You know what I mean?
You know, I guess, you know, what bothers me the most is, you know, we are extremely stereotyped as tow trucks, tow truck operators, tow truck drivers, however you want to say it.
Well, it's all those 80s movies with Burt Reynolds and
well, you know, your
those guys.
pants hanging down, dirty, greasy. You know, we'll work a big heavy duty scene. You know, sometimes we're getting rolling at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and we haven't been able to get to a bathroom. We just kind of want a hot cup of coffee. You wash our hands, and we'll pull into a store, and I see the way people look at us. We're dirty, we're sweaty, and now we just pulled up, and we got this big mess here. So I mean, just it'd be great for people to appreciate us just a little bit. You know, I used to always tell people, I said, you know, you don't know what that operator's been through that day. I mean, I went through I put a thing on Facebook one time. We'd been working really hard, really long. It was just in and out with impounds. You know, I get dispatched out to an accident, and I'm pulling up on scene, and right away I know it's a fatality. I can see the tires marked. I see the yellow sheet, and we don't have time to have a feeling about that.
Sure.
We've got a job to do. You know, so I've got to wait for them to take care of the person that's no longer with us. I've got to load up the vehicle. I take it to the yard, and you know, thinking, okay, well, I've got just a minute right now, just to kind of sit down and reflect. And a lot of times I'll say a prayer, but there's no break. I got to keep going again, and you know, so then I remember I pulled in to get fuel at a place, and I see this lady, and she's crying, and she's pulling on her door handle and stuff. And I realized, okay, she's locked her keys in her car, but her 6-month-old
Oh,
daughter's in there. So I mean, I'm like, so I grab my lockout tool and I go and unlock it for you, man. And she gives me a big hug and how much to you? I said, no, you don't owe me nothing. Then I can, my phone goes off. I've got another wreck, and then I go and I pick that wreck up and I'm going to the yard, and then I get to the yard and then there's the mother of the fatality. And I kind of try to handle stuff like that personally. A lot of times they want to see the vehicle. A lot of times that's not the best thing. And I don't know how many times I've sat there and cried with a mother, a father, a sister, a brother. But we have long days, man, and you never know what our day's been like. And I kind of tell people, if you've ever been helped by somebody that operates a tow truck, maybe when you see that dirty tow truck operator stopping to get something to drink or something, man, just walk up and tell them thank you. It'd be great. It would really be nice.
If nothing else, just not to be looked at and discussed. That'd be a step in the right direction, huh?
True. True, but a thank you goes a long way.
Man, Geoff, I really appreciate you coming in with me today. I could talk about that damn rotator forever. I think I could, but so be it. We do have time. I do have to make a living with another job. Is there anything that I didn't ask you? I tried to do a little bit of due diligence. Is there any questions that you came prepared to answer that I didn't ask you?
No, I think we got everything covered. Like I said, just remember, just a little help out there. Slow down, move over, and help us save some lives.
Fair enough. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate the invite, sir.